Hello and welcome to Every Horror Movie on Netflix. We're the show where we watch, review, discuss, and try to get through every horror movie on Netflix. And I'm here again with the regular crew for the most part. Patrick's here.
Hi.
Steven's here.
Hello.
And this week we're privileged to be joined again by our familiar but still very special guest, Gregory.
Hi, how you doing?
Hello, Gregory.
Hello.
What a treat to have you here today. This is very last minute.
What a disaster to have Gregory back with us.
Sick.
Oh, that's...
Gregory is the host of the What a Disaster podcast.
I'm not
we
the
should
host.
say.
I'm
You're a host
of the What a Disaster podcast.
A brother podcast to EHMON, I would say, right?
Yeah.
We could say brother, sister, sibling.
Cousin?
Non-gendered familial relation
Yeah.
of our
That's fine.
podcast. Yeah.
We could do that. Cousin?
Yeah.
Cousin's
Let's
not
be
gendered.
progressive about this. Yeah, our cousin podcast.
We swap hosts a lot. We go over to you, you come over to us.
Yeah, as soon as I kill one of you guys, you enter me, and vice versa.
Oh, well, a little
Great segue.
great segue, because this week we watched, because of Patrick's special request, last time he spun the wheel of death, and we watched Dolph Lundgren in Don't Kill It.
I didn't realize... Oh, you know what? I did realize we had you to thank for that. I blocked
right.
it out.
That's right.
Because I wanted to still be your
I
friend.
deliberated over this decision for way too long. When I listened back to that episode, I was like, holy shit, I took a long time to decide what movie I was going to pick.
How do you feel about your decision? You know,
I
without
feel
spoilers.
fucking great about
Yeah.
my decision.
It
I
might
feel
be-
thrilled about my decision.
I'm glad. It might be self-explanatory, but remind us why you chose this movie.
Well, I chose it because I first picked The Human Centipede and the general just disgust that emanated from around the table.
Those groans were...
Really prompted me to change
really
my
hit.
mind.
Those hit hard.
Which is totally fair, because fuck The Human Centipede. I hate that
I was
movie.
ready to quit.
I know. I was
No
ready
kidding.
to quit, too, because of my own decision.
I was not going to listen to a Human Centipede episode, so...
It's hard enough to watch every horror movie on Netflix, so when we get the chance to pick something of our own choosing, we don't want to watch the bottom of the barrel.
See, and I guess the reason I wanted to do The Human Centipede was because I thought that Chris and Steve had not seen it, and I hated that movie so much that I wanted to have a conversation with other people about it to see if they hated it as much as I did. That was kind of my instinct on that. Anyways, I ended up picking Don't Kill It because it's been on my radar for a bit. The title is fucking great. Dolph Lundgren is amazing.
He-Man.
He's He-Man.
He-Man himself.
He's
And the
fucking
Punisher.
Ivan Drago. And the Punisher, yeah. Was he the Punisher? Oh,
He
yeah,
was.
he was
Yeah,
in the
like,
80s
yeah.
or 90s
Was
or
it
something.
the-
Right?
Yeah, I
I
think it
showed
might
you
have been
that
early
pic of his
90s.
balls from
Yeah.
the movie.
Tia
Yeah.
Carrera was in that movie too, who was like an early '90s sex icon.
Yeah. I don't know who that is.
She was
but-
in Wayne's World.
Oh, okay.
Is that
Still
Have you
doesn't
seen
ring
Wayne's
a
World?
bell for me.
I've seen Wayne's World, but I don't remember her.
I know that everybody here is a lot younger than me, so I have to kind of be careful with some of these references.
Yeah.
Yeah, welcome to every SNL movie on Netflix.
Oh, no.
God,
That'd be rough.
This week it's Pat.
Are they still making SNL movies?
yes. Lorne Michaels is still at least producing movies.
He
I don't know if
produced what the hell was that movie about the improv people recently? Don't Think Twice.
Don't Think Twice, yeah.
Yeah, I think he produced that.
But I mean, that's not really an
Obviously.
SNL movie. I mean, I think we're talking about like spin-offs from SNL skits, right?
Skits
I feel
that
like
became movies.
the
Yeah.
Andy Samberg movie is the closest you get. These
Like
days.
Hot Rod or whatever the fuck
like
it was.
Pop Star, Don't Stop, Never Stopping.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? I tried watching that. It is not good.
Yeah,
It was a rough one. I started and I was like, I'm gonna start stopping right now.
Anyway, if you're in America, I hope you had a good 4th of July. We're
gonna
here
stop
sweating
and never
our
stop.
ass off.
It is so hot in here,
We are sweating our ass off.
hotter than the spoiler room.
But we're gonna stick through it for you. We're gonna sweat through it and tell you about Don't Kill It. Don't kill it.
Don't kill it.
Don't
You shouldn't.
kill it.
You shouldn't kill it. Please don't kill it. Everybody kills it.
And
A movie that wastes no time in
Killing
setting up exactly like how everything works.
it has a great premise. So
Great
why
premise,
would it wait?
Great opening.
Yeah, you don't have to wait and hours to get to the concept of this one, like we did for like Be Afraid.
Nah.
It's right up there.
Because I was kind of wondering, like, what this movie was about or how it was going to play out exactly. I only knew the title. I didn't know any other details. And the opening to this movie set it up in the most delightful and direct way imaginable. I laughed my ass off at the opening to this movie. And also, like, I immediately understood why you're not to kill it.
I wish I knew that they wanted this movie to be funny, because that opening is hilarious.
Oh, they want it to be funny.
It was hard to tell, set up what happens, Patrick. You like this scene so much.
Yeah, so I mean, it opens with a hunter in the woods with his dog. The dog runs off to catch something that the dude shoots, I think, and the dog all of a sudden becomes super distracted by something it sees in a cave, and all of a sudden goes nuts and starts attacking the hunter. The hunter shoots the dog. Fine.
In the face, and it's not fine. I was turned off by that.
It was the guy escalates.
You don't see it, but
like
there are a lot of difficult.
You mean just the fact that a dog got shot?
Yeah, that a dog got shot in the face.
Well, the guy did not seem to exhaust very many of his options before he just murked his own dog.
I mean, there were a lot of kills in this movie that disturbed me a lot more than the dog getting shot.
Yeah, I definitely
Let's just
didn't
put
hear
it
him
that
say,
way.
"No, down, boy." At all.
Yeah.
It's just, you know what? Fuck it. I can get another.
I mean,
dog.
the dog was losing its shit. Yeah.
But
he
anyway,
could have shot it in the leg and like demobilized it or something if he really felt he had to do that.
I mean, whatever.
Their heads explode in this movie, and it's all pretty, gleefully gory. I wasn't disturbed by any of it, but that was too much.
I was definitely disturbed by some kills in this movie. We can get into that later. Let me finish.
I want to hear your kill list.
It wasn't because of the gore, though, that I was disturbed by some of those. It was just what was happening in the moment. Yeah. Anyway, we'll let you.
We can get to those.
We're talking about attack dog.
So he shoots the dog and then returns home and murders his whole family. And immediately it becomes apparent that there's some sort of spirit possessing first the dog and then the hunter. Whoever's possessed, their eyes always turn black. And if you kill them, the spirit transfers into whoever has killed it. And the possessed creature always makes this pretty distinct screaming noise that never stopped being fucking funny to me. Every time the spirit like moved into someone new and someone would like rear their head back and go, it never stopped. That's pretty good. Yeah.
It's often funny because a lot of the actors in this movie are not very skilled, and I don't think they really knew what the scream was going to sound like. Like the hunter, as he's just, I don't even know how to explain it. His run is so funny. Sometimes you see someone running and just want to tell them not to do that because they look like a goofball, and he just got his mouth held open while the sound effect is 80 yards in. Yeah. Just cracked up.
My favorite one was the guy driving the panel truck at the end, like toward the, I guess it was toward the middle of the movie, I guess. He just was doing this. His face, he had dead eyes, no effort into it at all. Just his mouth was open, and they applied this scream to the scene, and it was just terrible. Just terrible.
I think we need a picture of Greg doing that for the show notes.
Put it up in the show notes. We can do this.
Blank eyes.
I'm going to photograph Greg
open.
doing that right now. But yeah, so I mean, the opening sequence ends with hard cut to the opening title, "Don't Kill It." And I was like, all right, I get it.
There's another, because the hunter is killed by, I think, a member of his own family. Isn't he?
Yes.
And then that person immediately goes psycho and starts like stabbing or shooting the other family members or something like that.
Right. It's pretty rapid fire, murdering everybody that's present.
It's like a relay race.
Yeah, because I don't think we get the idea quite of the spirit passing from person to person until after he kills his whole family and then goes to like the next house over and someone kills him.
Gabriel, you son of a bitch.
And then we see it pass into that person.
Right. So
Greg, do that thing where you open your mouth again. I'm going to take a picture for social media. You got to play it up a little more though.
No, that's actually pretty accurate.
Is that it?
That's what the truck driver was doing. It was just hands on the wheel.
Let me zoom out and get that hands on the wheel. Oh, yep, there we go. All right, great.
Love it.
Hashtag shareable.
Also, I don't know if we're jumping ahead too far here, but an FBI agent is called in because all of these murders happened so quickly as this thing that we're not quite sure what it is yet is jumping from person to person.
Yeah.
She grew up in this town, right? Yeah.
Which doesn't matter at all.
It doesn't matter. I wish there had been... I don't wish there had been more of that. It would have been interesting to see her like grapple with like seeing her.
It definitely
town hall
matters.
shit.
There were like two moments where the one guy calls her Evil Lynn instead of Evelyn, and
Clever.
the
Another He-Man
a little bit
connection
later
there.
on, there's the pastor is like, she's the devil,
Right.
but they don't tell us anything about why they think that.
No, yeah, they do, because she like drowned and then mysteriously came back from her
that's
near
right.
drowning death,
Yeah.
and so everyone
All right,
in town
okay.
thinks that she's somehow supernatural in a threatening way. Because
Don't embarrass me in front of the listeners.
I actually didn't pick
I'm
up
not
on that
just
either.
embarrassing you. I'm embarrassing everyone who didn't remember this plot point, which was all three of you.
Okay. Well, yeah,
hard
they
to
do.
remember.
They call in the FBI. FBI agent who's a townie shows up. This takes place in like the bayou, Mississippi, Alabama, something like that.
Yeah, it's Mississippi. Yeah.
Mississippi.
Is it Mississippi?
Yeah.
Is there bayou in Mississippi? When I think of bayou, I think of Louisiana.
Well, me too, but there's
bayou.
definitely bayou in Mississippi. In
so should I
fact,
just do this whole episode?
Well-
Well, bayou, Greg.
No, actually, please don't.
You can do it as Dolph.
I'll
in this
definitely
movie,
stop
though.
then. Eventually.
Well, this was shot in Alaska, actually.
was it?
Was
Yeah.
it?
Mhm.
Yeah, the
No.
seasons didn't line up.
I don't know,
and the
but I
trees
don't
So
didn't
much
believe
line
that.
sense, actually.
I don't believe that
I
because
can
I
totally
thought I
see
watched
that.
the credits and I thought it said like thanks to the city of something something Mississippi.
Maybe because they took the city's name and applied it to somewhere else. I don't know.
Borrowed it for Dolph Lundgren.
I read from multiple sources that this was shot in Alaska. I think presumably because it was cheaper to do it there.
I
didn't
Thanks
do
for the
any
name,
research.
Biloxi.
But I was angry because it didn't seem like the trees lined up with where they were. I think Chris, I talked to you a little bit about this, about A Quiet Place.
Yeah, you
where
get
the
upset.
seasons just don't. If the seasons don't line up with
Right.
the time of the movie, it makes me angry for some reason, and I notice it. And
Yeah.
for some reason, those trees were just making me mad.
Well, it's like Halloween. You know, like the opening shot of Halloween, you see like a dead leaf fall on the ground. All the trees are green. They're shooting in like California or some shit.
Yeah.
That every neighborhood place that they have in California, where it's always just deciduously green trees.
Yeah.
Pleasantville, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're missing the point, though, guys. We have yet to talk about the star of this film, who we were introduced to very early on.
They bring in the FBI, and then they also bring in. Well, no, he they don't bring him in, but
He comes of his own
volunteers.
volition.
Yeah, he forces his way in.
Dolph Lundgren, who is established in like the opening scene after the cold open as a demon hunter of some sort.
He very non-consensually forces his way into this whole thing, which is funny because the first like monologue he gives is all about consent to some douchebag in a bar. It's a really weird sequence. Like I don't know what was the point of having this scene where he defends a woman in a bar and then explains consent to this guy, but that it doesn't really gel with his character for the rest of the movie, because he definitely does some pretty non-consensual sort of shit in this
forces
movie
his way
himself.
into everything he does.
Yeah.
I wrote in my notes about the consent thing, topical? Probably not.
I mean, I think that's what they were going for, but it doesn't really stick.
I
Hashtag
appreciate
me
it. You know,
too,
you
call it a
see
day.
a tough man. This shows that you can have a tough man, a man's man, a hard drinking, hard vaping son of a bitch.
Vape so hard.
That
in this
fucking
movie.
vape
But he
thing,
still
I
knows
want
how to
one.
respect a
I don't
woman.
even vape, and I want one of his little. It looked like a mini hookah.
I don't remember him vaping.
He
Oh,
vapes
he
off the
vaped.
entire
You don't
movie
remember his
very
vape?
dramatically.
They even brought it up when he was getting his effects back from the police. Did you watch this movie, Patrick?
Hey, I'm the one who remembers what happened to Evil Lynn,
The one
which I
note
think
you
is
took.
more. I think that's more important than Dolph vaping.
Is it though?
No, I loved it because he's he's a caricature of the kind of like grizzly guy that we've seen in a whole bunch of movies, but instead of like smoking, he's just got a vape, and it looks so out of place. It had to be deliberate.
Oh, yeah.
He's like holding this thing like the man with no name smokes a cigar. He's just like puffing on a vape.
It's hilarious. I mean, just to think that this grizzled old badass would be health conscious in any way.
Can we talk about his outfit too? Like, I mean, it's
How
he looks
amazing he
weirdest. It's the weirdest combination of personal effects. Like, he's got a cowboy hat and this blousey, like almost see-through, like negligee, like pirate shirt. He's got like multiple necklaces.
He has
needs all
more
the luck he
necklaces
can
than
get.
Johnny Depp has pieces of any kind of jewelry.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane. It looks painful to wear them.
He
Yeah.
looked like Mr. T from the A-Team.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just jewelry.
Yes.
But he pities no fool.
No. I do pity his southern accent a little bit though.
Oh, his accent was rough.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, there's no Bayou Greg, but
Yeah, you should be his dialect coach for his next film.
And here's something I appreciate, because you see Dolph Lundgren in Don't Kill It, and so many of these low budget horror movies have a name actor that they could afford to put on set for like half a day. So like he's like, I remember watching like Pumpkinhead 4 on TV or something, and it's like Lance Henriksen is top billing, but he's not in it. It's like he's in like a couple, like he's a ghost in a forest, and like they walk by and he's like standing there watching them, and like that's all he did. But Dolph Lundgren is in like damn near every scene of this movie. Dolph Lundgren is the star of this movie.
He is this movie,
and
without a doubt.
So it's good to have a name actor driving the movie as much as he does in this, and it's a fun character.
One might even say he is the it who we do not wish to be killed.
He's the only one that doesn't kill it. Really?
Well, that's the
Spoilers.
point.
Save that for the spoiler room, Greg.
Whoa, sorry.
Well, that's the point, because this is an ancient evil that Dolph Lundgren. What do we even care what his actual name is? I don't.
I forget.
It's Jebediah something.
Jebediah.
It was a dumb name.
Stone or Steel or something.
I don't know.
God.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
Jebediah,
But
though, yeah.
Dolph
Jebediah.
Lundgren has experience with this. He's been like a demon hunter since he was a kid. His dad was a demon hunter. He's seen this before, and he is always trying to convince everyone of this horror, and he knows how it works, and he says you can't kill it, don't shoot it, whatever, blah 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 blah, and no one wants to hear that. Great iconic scene when the first scene where they introduce the FBI agent. She's in there talking to like the local police chief about how he's like, oh, we got some murders here. And then he bursts into the police station, starts screaming about the devil and the demons and everything. Everything he's saying is true, but he sounds like a crazy man. And like a couple cops like start to pull him out the door.
I love how long that took.
How long he
kept
fights them
pulling
off.
in and then dragging out and coming back in.
Yeah.
It had several minutes of that.
He literally,
it was amazing.
it's got to be at least 90 seconds of the cops trying to pull him out the door, and he's just
It
like
was
wrestling with
longer
them.
than 90 seconds, I think.
He's delivering like a 2-minute monologue as the cops are just like trying to push him out the door. Amazing endurance.
Yeah.
That was the best part of the movie for me.
He was Draco in
Dolph.
that scene.
Drago,
not Draco. That's
The muscles from
right?
Brussels.
That's from Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Wait, where is Dolph actually from?
He's from Sweden.
Sweden.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not Soviet Russia.
And
What a
you
man.
can tell. I mean, he can't hide that in this accent he's doing. And I almost wish it had been played more for comedy. This is always fun. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger is just such a caricature. It became such a caricature of himself that he embraced his Austrian accent in most of his movies. And I kind of wish they'd gone there. There's so many things about this movie that are inherently funny, but I don't feel like the director really knew how to push it fully into comedy. It was always kind of right on the edge.
I don't know why it was necessary for Dolph to be anything except Dolph in this movie.
Yeah.
Like there's no reason to cover him. I mean, the example of Schwarzenegger is perfect. Like they should have just let him be Schwarzenegger. Let him be Dolph the way Schwarzenegger just is Schwarzenegger in every fucking
Dolph play
Schwarzenegger movie.
Schwarzenegger now.
Oh, dude, yeah.
I feel like a face-off remake with those two.
Yes.
So hang on. So the first face-off was what? Nicolas Cage and John Travolta.
Yeah.
So then instead it's just Schwarzenegger and Dolph Lundgren in Face Off, like a remake of Face Off.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
Wouldn't that be great to see them act as each other?
God, like I keep because of all these stupid disaster movies that we've been watching, I keep thinking about what movie I want to see The Rock remake. But now
Face Off.
I have a whole different. No, I don't even care about The Rock and Faceballs. Although I do want to see Faceballs now.
You want the Rock's balls in your face
Yes.
is what I just heard.
Just dip them right on there. But no, now I'm 100%. If I were a millionaire, I would try and fund this. Schwarzenegger and Lundgren in a face-off remake.
Well, this movie only cost $1 million, so if you were just barely technically a millionaire, you could probably make that movie.
I'm doing it.
And that's, I noticed that because I would expect a bigger budget for a movie that has Dolph in like every scene. But I saw that he has like a production credit too, so he probably gave him a deal where they didn't have to pay him up front.
Well, and this is relevant to something we were discussing before the cast, which I never knew, which is that Dolph Lundgren is a fucking genius and a chemical engineer and a published scholar.
Published scholar.
Yeah.
What did he
Did
do?
we confirm publishing?
I need citations.
I thought he was published.
Did we confirm that?
I don't think we confirmed the
Did he make this?
publication.
If he has a PhD, he has to be published.
Well, right,
So,
Did he have a PhD or was he just a master's?
hold on. I'm
Did he
looking
have a
this up.
PhD?
Let's throw air quotes up there on just a master's, please. Because
If he's a PhD, I'm calling him Dr.
No,
Dolph
here we go. From
now
his
on.
Wikipedia page,
Dolph.
Lundgren received a degree in chemical engineering from the Royal Institute of Technology in the early 1980s and a master's degree in chemical engineering. So it just says degree. I don't know what
yeah,
that
he's
So
is.
is
just
this-
probably a
just
master's.
got his master's.
Is this $1 million movie made with the Nobel Prize money that he received?
Highest level of education completed, Dolph. Come on.
And
Give
he
us
received
the details here.
a Fulbright scholarship to MIT and moved to Boston. That's amazing.
Yeah,
and this is a very smart man.
Yeah, he is an incredibly intelligent man. And then he makes this movie, and
Well, he's the smartest guy in this movie. He's the only one who knows not to kill it.
That's right.
he tells everybody not to, and they don't listen.
I mean, is it worth explaining at this juncture, actually, that his dad, in fact, faced off with this creature? And
How far into the movie was that?
That's early enough.
Was
yeah,
it? Okay.
I feel like we learned that.
I don't know that it's a
relatively
spoiler
early on.
necessarily.
No, it's
but,
cool. We hop around.
But we do know, we can confirm, I think, at this point, that it is fucking Dolph Lundgren's fault that this thing is here at all.
Well,
yeah.
I'm just going to dump it in the
Yeah, we should
bayou.
get it-
Like,
yeah.
fuck it.
He was going to. He was
So-
going to dump it in the bayou. He was on a plane carrying. So what happened is they eventually were able to isolate the evil spirit, and he was going on a plane to dump it into the bayou. The plane crashed or came apart and scattered the cargo all over.
He did say
and he
that
lost his little
the
evil
demon
spirit.
had ways of affecting the natural world around it.
Right.
Not just this wasn't happenstance that his plane went down.
Yeah.
This was the demon's work.
So the dog in the first scene actually like kicks and
It was
finds
going
the
nuts
flask or whatever,
because-
the urn that was keeping the evil
Right.
spirit, and then the dog gets it, the hunter gets it, the neighbor gets it, and then basically anyone who kills this mass maniac murdering demon
Just
gets
keeps
it.
jumping around.
So-
I mean, we should explain though, like how it was killed in the first place. Like his dad, who was also a demon, Dolph's dad, who was also a demon hunter, killed it by taking poison, allowing himself to be tied to a tree, and then shooting the person who is possessed by the demon, so that it passed into his body, which was immobilized and also about to die because of poison.
Right. And
Pretty
then the
smart.
demon-
And then it just like kind of pops out into the air as like this little glowing ball
Little
of light,
glowing
like
wisp.
Tinkerbell or something, which was then
That's exactly
which was
right.
then enclosed in a little flask
Used a
for
little
years.
knife, put it in a flask.
Yep, good to go.
Yep.
Good to go.
But they set these rules up, and then I'm like, yeah, great concept. This movie has a great concept.
It does. It does. I
It's
was
not
so
all
excited.
that dissimilar from. Have you guys heard of this movie called The Hidden?
No.
From
I thought you were
87?
going to say, have you guys heard of this movie called It Follows?
Yeah, I was gonna say it's
There are
like
definitely
It Follows,
similarities.
but instead of killing people, it's sex or sex
Yeah.
and killing people, whatever. You know, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
No, what's the hidden?
Well, I've not seen The Hidden. Warner Archive just released it recently, and it's been kind of making the rounds. People have been reviewing it. And it's actually quite a few reviews for this movie mention it. It's like an alien body hopping movie from '87, and I think Kyle MacLachlan is in it.
Ooh.
Sounds fascinating. But
Bay.
anyway, like Bay for sure. Anyway, I just wondered if you guys had seen it and if you could weigh in on how it compares. We'll have to make that a future movie night.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyway, back to Don't Kill It. Where did we
Yeah.
leave off? What do we want to talk about?
Well, the effort of the community to stop this menace, which is killing scores of people in the community. Scads of people in the community. It's complicated by the fact that like everybody in this movie seems to be like packing a gun.
That's absolutely right.
It's America, Chris.
It's so easy to kill it.
It's so
in this,
easy to kill
in this town.
It's the
Yeah.
South in America. Everybody's got a gun.
Yeah, I mean,
And like a gun, like handy. Like not just like gotta go get it out of the locker or something.
fair,
It's
the
like
first,
in their
like-
in their pants or something.
The first bunch of murders were like in their houses. Where else are you going to keep
Yeah,
your
like
gun?
Yeah.
bam,
It's
bam,
just-
bam,
yeah,
like
it's just-
multiple. Everyone's just carrying a gun. It was so much
was
that
amazing.
I thought for a minute that this was going to be a satire and that they were going for satire and some sort of commentary on America and
I
gun
wish.
culture and you know
I mean, I think
responding to
there's-
violence with violence.
I would have liked
but
any theme
no.
in this movie, but
I don't think there's deep commentary, but I think obviously you're in a small southern town, and the assumption is that pretty much everybody's packing.
I don't think they thought
I
that
don't think
much
they
of
thought
it.
it through. I think they just had guns
Yeah.
because it's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sense like there were so many things in this movie that could have. I mean, there's a scene where a bald, sort of white redneck dude kills a black family or someone in a black family, and it actually becomes twisted, and that's not actually what happened. But anyway, in that scene, I thought, like, oh, here's another opportunity for social commentary, and it just never commits to it. It would have been,
But it's not a social commentary movie. Why
doesn't
are, you
have to
guys,
be,
why
but
are
it's-
you guys asking for that out of this?
I'm
This is
not,
a
but they-
pure, just like stupid, balls out, goofy horror comedy.
I don't think I was asking for it so much as I was expecting it based on how especially after that consent scene, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
this is a movie that's self-aware and they're going to work with some of this stuff, and then they don't.
Yeah, I would never have expected it going into this movie, but there were so many little things I thought like, oh wow, this would be really interesting if it went in that direction, or if it committed to this for like a minute even. I don't expect a whole movie about black people getting murdered by white guys. Like But it would have been nice if there'd been a line or something, or even explaining why there's so many guns in this town.
Anything that any commentary they started down, they get like 2 steps in and then just give it the finger and call it good. It was.
I mean, I thought the consent thread being so oddly like harped upon and then abandoned was very strange. But otherwise, I didn't have any expectations of this movie providing social commentary, and it delivered upon those expectations tenfold.
Well, yeah, I try not to judge a movie by comparing it to the movie that I would have preferred to see.
It's hard with this one, though, because it's
hard.
Dolph Lundgren in a movie called Don't Kill It.
No, what I'm saying is, I thought the concept was so rich, the idea of this demon and you kill it and it takes you over, that it could have been, this concept is good enough to drive like a great horror movie, especially if they played with these ideas of like the urge for, you know, how people like to get revenge against violent criminals and the oversaturation with guns and all this stuff. There's stuff they could have done to make this like a great movie, and then they were like, well, here's a great idea and we're going to take the juvenile comedy route with it, which is fine. It's their prerogative. That's the movie they decided to make. I'm not going to really hold it against them, but I thought it was a missed opportunity.
That was exactly the movie I expected, though. I mean, I guess I could see how you might want something more out of this, or that might be the movie that you were wishing for or whatever, but I fully expected just like some balls out B-movie.
Oh, I expected that
shit.
too. I didn't expect to find a interesting concept in this movie that I wanted to see explored in a more mature way.
So you were actually sort of surprised in a positive way by the richness of the concept, but then disappointed in that, in your opinion, they didn't deliver on it.
Well, they delivered on what they were trying to deliver on. It's like...
They didn't take as much advantage of it as they could have, from your point of view.
It's like if I'm a garbage man and I'm picking up the trash.
You are.
I'm picking up the trash,
So now
and
we're
you know,
trash.
I throw it in the truck, and I throw the can in the truck. And, you know, I'm expecting to see garbage. I'm a garbage man, right? And then I find like a beautiful necklace. I find the heart of the ocean in the trash.
You find a little golden urn.
So you were expecting this to be the heart of the ocean?
And I'm like, that's a really beautiful thing in this garbage. It's a shame that I have to close the thing, and it's with the garbage now.
Wait, hang on. Is that what you would do if you saw a beautiful necklace and you were a garbage man?
Garbage men aren't allowed to pick shit out of the trash.
Why not?
I'm sure they do it.
Oh, I'm sure they adhere to that
right.
Is that actually a rule?
golden
I think
rule
that's
of their
Is there a
profession.
code of garbage men?
No,
Like,
hang on. I want to see this documented, Chris.
All right, that was the worst analogy I could have
The
made.
10 Commandments of garbage collection.
Let me tell you how I feel about this movie, because I'm enjoying the conversation between the two of you, and I think I fit somewhere in the middle of it. I was expecting...
So, Steve, does that mean you're a garbage man, or are you trash?
Would you pick
You're the
the
truck.
necklace out of
you
the
are
garbage?
the truck, I think.
I'm the truck, okay.
But would you pick the necklace out of the garbage if you saw it?
Oh, absolutely. And I put that shit in hock. All right, so this movie, I went into it with very reasonable expectations. This is going to be a fun, sometimes funny, probably gleefully gory movie. It is. It doesn't commit hard enough to being a comedy. I don't think it commits hard enough to the concept either. There's a lot of long stretches where there's not a lot going on, but then you get these crazy fucking massacre scenes out of nowhere that I feel like are very poorly edited. So this movie disappointed me because I think it's a great concept, but it needs to either have a compelling story, which it does not. It has the bare bones of one that doesn't explore, or it needed to be funnier for me and more slapsticky.
I could say that it definitely could have used more or less comedy. It was sort of in a weird. It was in a weird gray area where there were some jokes, there was some very over the top shit, and then there was other stuff that you were sort of expecting to take more seriously. I could totally say that it could have been more tonally consistent.
Well, you know, I saw something on the internet. I'm real sensitive now talking about things being tonally consistent or not, because I saw a tweet that was like calling people out for criticizing movies for being tonally inconsistent. And that's something we did a lot last time with Beyond the Gates. But I don't think a movie has to be tonally consistent. It just has to make its shifts in tone work. Or feel inspired or something. The problem with this movie is that it's mostly just kind of an action comedy, horror comedy, not taking itself seriously, but then there are long stretches where it's not being funny and not being like serious and good either. It's just kind of boring. It reminded me a little bit of an Asylum movie or like Three-Headed Shark Attack, something like that.
Really? Wow.
I got the same vibe. Well, the director, his first film was called Big Ass Spider, which does that not sound like an Asylum movie?
Wait, so was
His
it a
next
big
film,
spider and they're just using that as like a descriptor, or is it a spider with a big ass?
I don't know. I mean,
Or is it
spiders do
both?
traditionally have pretty
Yeah.
large abdomens.
Or is it like a big ass spider, like a spider,
Ooh, a spider
on your
that lives
ass?
on asses?
Yeah.
His next movie was Lavalantula, which is like a spider that can is immune to lava.
So wait, is it a tarantula that lives on?
Yeah, anyway, like I looked into this director, and I do feel like this is very much in Asylum territory. This just felt very juvenile, and like they've got the concept but not the follow through.
Yeah, so that,
I don't get the Asylum comparison at all.
Well, it's much
but-
better. It's much more
Much
accomplished
better.
than much better. No doubt that it's better than an Asylum movie, but you still have these parts that like feel like forced in filler.
you used better than an Asylum movie, but I think just different than an Asylum. Because in an Asylum movie, they know what they're setting out to do. They do it, and they're pretty spot on with like if somebody said you're going to have to watch an Asylum movie, you know what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
But with this one, it doesn't commit to anything. And that's kind of the key thing. It's not really a horror movie.
I think it
It's
commits to
not
a number
really
of things.
comedy thing. Just not well though. It's like I'm going to date you for 3 months and then we're going to break up. That's pretty much like that's the extent of this relationship with this movie.
You have a relationship with this movie. I'm learning that just now.
It doesn't do anything with comedy. It doesn't do anything really with horror. The story is puts just as much effort into it as anything else, and none of it felt cohesive. None of it tied together. I didn't think of it as funny at any point. Like outside of Dolph Lundgren's performance, I didn't laugh at anything.
There's not really any
Really?
jokes.
I didn't either.
Really.
There aren't. That's the thing. There are things that are funny in
everybody
retrospect.
say they laughed their ass off at the opening scene?
Oh well, but I don't know
Yeah.
if that was meant to be as funny.
It
as it was.
absolutely
No, it
was.
is. It's fun.
It's hard to tell. That's the problem with this movie.
If they did it and you could tell that they did it on purpose, that would be one thing. You can't tell
Wait, so
if
what
they
is-
were doing it intentionally or if it was just shitty FX.
Yeah, I
and they
have
were
no
like, well,
clue.
let's just call it good with some fast
No,
cuts.
this
Why
movie-
was there a but oh no, I want to dig into this. I want to drill down into this.
All right.
Why was there a question in your minds, Gregory and Steven, about whether that opening scene was meant to be funny or not? Like, in what world is that not meant to be over the top?
That opening scene
And
where a guy shoots his dog in the face?
I don't know why you guys are so hung up on the dog. I don't give
Because
a
that's
fuck
like
about the
that's
dog.
an
You don't
emotionally
even see
jarring
that.
moment.
You see him point the gun in the dog's direction, then we cut away to
Right,
a wide shot.
you hear the bang. Sure, they don't show it to you, but you know what's happening. They point the gun
as opposed
at the
to
dog's
many,
face.
many people's heads who we see explode in
Yeah,
this
but
movie.
that stuff is just so over the top,
and it's
that it's not
expected in a
disgusting
horror
to me.
movie that people are going to die in a horror
Okay,
movie.
did you guys want to see the dog's head explode then? Like some
No,
Scanners
no, I
shit?
didn't want the dog to be there at all.
The dog didn't need to happen.
Listen, I didn't think that when I watched the first scene, I laughed because it was so over the top and not what I was really expecting to see in the first 5 minutes of a movie. I laughed at that, but I didn't know whether it was going to be a comedy movie or not, or just a weird executed.
Well, that's the
movie.
thing. It wasn't gore porn at the beginning. It was just a guy getting attacked by his dog and shooting it. Like, there's no comedy there. What's so funny
Well,
about?
the funny
I
what
did
he's
not
talking
find-
what
I
he's
did not
talking
find the
about is
dog
when the guy
shooting funny.
becomes possessed and then he like clenches his fists and just runs down a hill with that terrible wailing sound.
Yeah.
And like it's so like cheaply shot and like weirdly framed that I laughed, but I didn't know if I was supposed to be laughing at it or not.
we've
I was like,
seen
is this
some
supposed
shit.
to be creepy or not?
We've seen some shit. We've seen some movies that would do that scene and mean it. Seriously.
I mean,
Yeah.
because
That's a good point.
I mean, because that whole opening sequence to me works as it escalates slowly, and you realizing, oh yeah, this is just balls out craziness. I mean, because first it seems sort of dark, something sort of creepy is going on. We're walking through the woods. I didn't laugh at the dog getting shot. I didn't think that was funny. But it slowly becomes more and more absurd and over the top to the point where by the time you get to that title card, "Don't kill it," I was laughing my ass off.
It felt like they didn't know how to make it funny, so they're like, what if we just keep shooting people?
I totally disagree. I think
can't
I'm with
agree.
Greg
I think there are-
1,000,000%.
I think there are problems with this movie for sure. I still think it's a great film, regardless.
Wow, hang on. I want you to
Yeah,
say
let me
that.
repeat that.
Let's,
So, Patrick,
let's make
would you
it
view
so
it,
it
cue
can
it,
be
or screw it?
completely.
Actually, thank you, because I didn't enunciate that strongly enough. I think it is a great film, regardless.
a great film.
A great film, and that's
Capital
film
F.
with a capital F. Maybe even N grade film.
I'll look forward to seeing it on AFI's next.
I want to see this with
100
little like
list.
leaves around the quote here.
Yes,
A great film award from
yes,
Patrick
the
Dunn.
Patrick Dunn Film
Yeah.
Festival.
Listen, I think we're kind of splitting hairs here. It's a funny movie, and it aims to be a funny movie.
Do you think so?
Yes.
I'm
definitely
sure it
aims to.
It definitely aims to be a funny movie. By the
Doesn't hit the
second or
mark
third,
for
by the
me.
second or third Dolph Lundgren scene, I was like, okay, they're going for
So
comedy
this is
here.
like
By the
first year
time he's
improv
getting-
guys going, we can make a movie that's funny.
Sure. By the
Okay.
time he's getting dragged out the door for 2.5 minutes with a monologue, I'm
But
like,
that
they
was
know what
funny.
they're doing
The
here.
horror was never funny though. Like none
No,
of the
not
slaughter
really.
scenes were funny.
The slaughter is funny a couple times.
Yeah.
It's fun, but they really
Some
milk it
shock
dry.
value that will make you laugh.
Sure.
Just this year.
Yeah.
But that's why I said
unexpected
there's
nature
no
of it.
jokes. Like it's stylistically funny. You have Dolph Lundgren playing a caricature that's funny, and then you have shocking gore and horror violence, which is funny because it's shocking. But I don't know. I guess it gets old for me over the course of 90 minutes. It's not like
There's no like setup punchline kind of joke.
No.
If there's a hot take to have right here, I'm going to give it to you guys right now.
Ooh,
I
warming
think-
it up.
I think Dolph Lundgren was the problem with this movie.
Explain.
I think that if you had somebody with the charisma of Bruce Campbell trying to Bruce Campbell this movie,
Yeah.
and I'm not nobody's Bruce Campbell but Bruce Campbell, but that kind of energy and attitude being brought to this would have been a million times better and would have turned this movie into a horror comedy.
I don't
But
know.
there's a
I mean,
lot
Bruce
surrounding
Campbell,
his character that is problematic as well. But I agree that I think that would have helped.
Maybe it needed more camp and
Bruce-
less Dolph.
Yes.
But Bruce Campbell is so dedicated to everything being campy, and I wouldn't have believed him. Like, I believe Dolph Lundgren was who he's supposed to be in this movie. You know, Bruce Campbell shows up and he's just fucking Bruce Campbell. You know,
But he goes from like he's just like
unless it's the X-Files.
without getting too deep into the movie.
Don't spoil
where
it.
was I go-
Don't spoil it.
Don't spoil.
That's the subtitle for this
Yeah,
episode.
don't spoil it. Dolph Lundgren went from being extremely passionate to I don't care. At the flip of a coin or the toss of I was going to say the toss of a hat, but that's not a phrase.
Toss of a vape.
Sure, the toss of a vape. But Dolph Lundgren was super crazy about Demon Thing, and then it like, I'm sorry I tried to kill you. Dolph Lundgren said, yeah, no big deal. Like, or I'm sorry I called the FBI to stop this thing, even though I definitely know that what you're saying is the truth. He didn't have any.
It's a lazy performance.
It really
I wrote
is.
down 3 separate times what the all caps fuck is Dolph Lundgren saying in this scene, and like I could not understand what even what emotion he was trying
We didn't
to
even
convey.
bring up that he slept with a prostitute without knowing she was
Unwittingly.
a prostitute, and then paid her anyway. He was like, "Fine, here's
she
money."
was shaking him down.
Like, what's she gonna do to Dolph Lundgren?
Guys, that
He
scene.
was trying to be a good guy.
He's got a weapon. He's got all these
That
lucky
was
charms,
all fun. That was all fun.
but it didn't need to
When
be.
he gets out of jail,
and
it's
that's another
fun.
part of this
It's all-
movie.
this
The
is a fun
peripheral
movie.
characters in this movie that didn't need to be there
Well, they're there to get killed.
were just that number was massive.
Otis.
It
You
was
guys remember
constant.
Otis?
Who's Otis?
Otis
He's like
was the guy with the glasses that called her Evil Lynn the first
Yeah,
time.
he's just
Oh,
like a
yeah, fuck
terrible
that guy.
caricature of a total
God.
dipshit.
Which was another like sort of false flag as far as the feminist themes of this movie.
Yeah.
Like Evil Lynn returns and
it
this
had no feminist
sheriff.
themes.
No, there are multiple scenes that try and set up feminist themes that are not
Oh, I
delivered
see.
upon.
It was a
Fine.
very one-dimensional, strong female character. Is pretty much what it boils down to. It was written by a man trying to
Trying to be
show
woke.
how. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm super woke. Check this out.
Yeah, I know what consent is. Also, I can write a scene where a guy is really douchey and objectifies a woman.
I read bullet points on the internet. Here you go.
You know, that line at the beginning where he says, "Have you ever heard about consent or whatever?" It struck. I didn't know if they were making fun of consent or not.
I was a little worried. I mean,
Oh,
Like it just
maybe. I don't think
it
so.
definitely wasn't like a sincere. I didn't feel like I was supposed to think like come out with a sincere understanding of like consent. Really,
Now
Are you trying to
imagine
tell
Bruce
me that
Campbell.
you sought out and watched a movie called Don't Kill It and you didn't learn a life lesson from
I
it?
thought it was going to teach me something about gender relations.
So we've talked about massacres a couple times, and I really want to talk about the church massacres.
Yeah, that's definitely the highlight of this movie.
Yeah, you know.
Well, aside from the ending, but we're obviously going to get to that at some point.
I would not call it the highlight, but I'm actually, yeah. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
That is the only time I thought this movie was actually trying to be a horror comedy.
Yeah.
That scene struck me as something I could see John Carpenter doing. which is the highest praise I
Oh,
can give
wow.
it.
That is a gold
reminded me
star
of
from
some of
Chris.
the balls out, like, sort of just action scenes in some of his movies. And it had, like, a soundtrack that was, like, guitar-driven.
That
and I was
808,
like,
that drum hit, synth drum hit that they do every time, that the boom, 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 every time it starts killing stuff is just absurd. But no, I definitely see where you can see John Carpenter in that church sequence.
Other than that, it was just, people are dying. It was kind of funny. I don't know. I didn't really feel anything. I was waiting for it to be over.
I appreciated that sequence. It was fun. It was entertaining. And I liked that it got outside the church and got crazy as the spirit continued to jump to like a truck driver.
Yeah, that's where the guy was.
Shit. Yeah, the truck driver.
Old Deadeye truck driver.
But I feel really uncomfortable with the church part because it reminded me of some of these fucking mass shootings.
Oh, yeah.
Like when literal churches have been shot
I
up.
thought the same thing, too, because, that definitely hit me when I saw it.
They may have been trying for that.
Well, this was
movie
made in
predates
2016, I think. So,
I mean, that stuff was still happening.
no,
But
absolutely.
it's-
That's what I'm
that's-
saying.
Yeah, I mean,
think-
what's the Dylan Roof? When did that happen? I mean, it doesn't matter actually, but I mean, I guess the broader philosophical point here for me is that I don't know, some of these over the top shooting sequences that happen in a lot of movies are becoming a lot less entertaining at this point because this shit happens in real life all the time.
Yeah,
you know?
life is
The triggers
imitating
for all
horror.
of us, I think.
I'm gonna go, and I may be the only dissenting opinion on this, but a chainsaw attack in a church is pretty uncommon.
I mean, it wasn't just chainsaw.
I
There was a
know
lot of shooting
there were
people in the
certainly
head.
but it was policemen shooting people, and there was, I mean, it was just absurdity.
Really, the
I mean,
part
he
that
came
got
in and
to me,
unloaded a duffel bag full of everything that could hurt people.
but really, the part that got to me was just the shots of people stampeding the door that was blocked.
No, I agree.
It didn't have anything to do with the weapons, and I laughed at individual kills because there are some extreme kills in this movie. But the thing that really got to me was just like people struggling to get out of the church.
This is a problem I have with horror, or sort of bad horror in general, is that I just feel like there's not enough of a brain behind it. Like, I don't like that sort of splatterpunk stuff. It works in Kill Bill because it's very clear how you're supposed to feel about it. But a lesser director like Shawn Mendes, I feel like a lot of
Shawn
this...
Mendes.
That's his name.
No,
That's,
it's Mike Mendes. You're thinking of Shawn Mendes, the musician.
Am I?
Yeah.
Mike Mendes? Whatever the fuck his name is. Mike Mendes.
Shawn Mendes.
Who's Shawn Mendes?
He's a musician.
Great, but what does he play?
Guitar. I don't know that much about him, but he's a thing right now. He's sort of popular.
Oh, all right. Well, props to him.
I'm not up on what the kids listen to, but I know the kids are listening to him.
Okay. Well, I learned something today. But it's not clear. Like, I feel like he's going for shock value 100% with this movie, which I'm down for because it's a B movie. It's a grindhouse type movie.
Yeah.
But I do feel like I wish he was a little bit smarter and knew that he might actually like push people's buttons the wrong way with this. Because I don't feel like he's committing one way or the other to some of the bold moves he takes. Like that church scene, I'm reevaluating now, and it is actually kind of disturbing.
Yeah.
Well, if it's disturbing, if he made it today, different story. But are we supposed to not have these things in movies just because bad stuff happens in real life, so we can't have bad stuff happening in a movie?
I don't know. That's a really potent philosophical question. That's why I brought this up in the first place, because I was
And
curious
it's a question
to get you guys'
I wish
take
the director
on it.
had asked when he made
It's going to
the thing.
depend on the individual too, and you can, especially by the end where it's some 50-something woman who gets the thing next, or the demon is in her next. You can tell he's just trying to play it for laughs at that point. That is, like I said, that is the most obvious scene where this is trying to be funny. She shoots Santa Claus, and it's an old lady with a gun, and ha 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 ha. That's supposed to be really funny.
It is funny when she gets hit by the truck, though.
Yes, no,
That is
that is
absolutely
always funny in
hilarious.
movies.
The
can't
way
think
her
of-
body flies, like,
Splatters.
I honestly don't know. It doesn't splatter. She just gets
There's a
hit
lot
and
of
gets
splatter on that
launched
truck.
into the air onto the curb, and I don't know how they pulled it off with this small of a budget.
But I mean, the fundamental question though here, I mean, I think the easiest parallel to draw to sort of attempt to unpack this is 9/11 imagery. You know, I mean, since 9/11, so many fucking movies have used World Trade Center imagery basicry in their big disaster moments.
No one knew what a building of that size looked like falling down until it happened in real life. And so now every time you see a movie falling down in a building falling down in a movie, it's using the same imagery and like the ground level shots of people running away from the dust plume. And
Nobody
stuff.
ever, and we've watched a lot of disaster movies. nobody ever puts the energy into trying to link it to humanity with those movies. It's always just, here's the big scene. This is the spectacle. Exactly. Yeah. And nobody ever brings it to any sort. We talked about it on the Titanic episode. That was pre 9/11, but that was the only one that we've seen so far where we are really tied to the people involved in those. And this, I mean, it's so much absurd. Like, just an arm falls on the ground. There's a chainsaw hacking somebody in the spine. It's all spectacle, no draw to it, which is why I think it's the only scene that they did well as far as making it seem funny. It's just, there's body parts every damn where.
Let me say this, though. This movie was edited by Mike Mendez, the director.
Yeah.
And I will say it's very poorly shot and edited.
Yeah.
Like, it's just complete chaos. That's another reason I had trouble trying to figure out the tone of this movie and how I was supposed to feel about it. The action scenes are nonsense. Like, all I know is heads exploded, a woman got hit by a truck, and, like, that's it.
I totally disagree. I felt like I understood exactly what was going on in that chaotic church scene. Like, what? Can you give me an example of, like, something specific you thought was poorly shot and edited, and like?
I can't give you a specific example. I just felt like it was very happy. Like, I understood where the demon was traveling to, but I feel like there were just so many shots where I was like, why would you show it from that angle? And, like, why would you cut? Like, why did you wait 3 seconds before you cut?
It was just fast cut for the attacks, and then it was just, here's some long, drawn-out story stuff, and then fast cut, anytime somebody was being murdered.
And it looked cheap.
It was consistent, at least.
I mean, it is cheap.
I guess you're right.
Well, if you're curious...
The budget is $1 million.
Yeah, but you can, if you know what you're
doing
with a camera, you can make $1 million movie look like a $20 million movie. I feel like a lot of this just looked like set photos. It didn't even look cinematic to me.
I don't think our podcast format lends itself to us really getting into discussions of the editing of the film, but there's a scene in the woods between Dolph and the FBI agent that you can watch later tonight at your leisure, and you will see how fucked up the editing is on this movie.
Yes. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Is this spoiler room shit?
Yeah, but even if it weren't, I just don't want to talk about it because I'm not going to be able to convey it to a listener or even to you talking, really.
But the audience is not going to know which scene to watch, so you should explain it at some point.
No, it's a scene where they're in the woods talking by themselves.
We can maybe include the timestamp or something so they can just seek it out.
They don't care.
All right.
But yeah, we might just, I guess we have to just, I don't think we're going to come to a conclusion on the ethics of putting violence in movies.
Guys, we got just deep on this one. I'm impressed.
Violence is easy. I just wanted to open that topic up because, I mean, obviously there's not an easy answer to it. My answer was just, these scenes that in the past would be entertaining for being shot. So like Kingsman. Did anybody see Kingsman?
Which one?
The first Kingsman.
I saw the first Kingsman.
Don't spoil it.
You haven't seen the first Kingsman
I know
movie?
There's violence in a church.
Spoil the shit out of that.
There is an insanely violent, over the top massacre
that is so much
sequence
better
in a church, which is great and is technically better done, but more importantly, didn't really carry that association for me. I watched, I was like, this is fucking hilarious and entertaining and really well done, and I don't know necessarily if I would still have the same reaction to it now, just because we've had Dylan Roof since then, and we've had all these other massacres since then.
Are we talking about a massacre in Kingsman, or are we talking about people?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, way more of a massacre than in this movie.
Like,
way more
with
people
innocent
die.
people?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I mean, yes.
Because obviously there's a difference between...
As in this movie, some of them are being
don't
possessed,
just
sort of, by a certain thing.
Obviously, there's a difference between a scene where you have a gunfight and one guy with a gun killing a bunch of people. But I'm not going to say that people shouldn't put that stuff in movies, but I don't really think it's funny on itself once you get past that initial shock value. And like I said, this movie could have been a little funnier if it were going for comedy. Could have, worked a little harder.
Agree.
And I mean, I'm still the guy. Like, I mean, the super bloody, over the top kills. That stuff is still funny to me. Like, any movie you give me, like, swing an axe at somebody and their head just fucking explodes, I still do that. Just that stupid guffaw. Like, I'm that idiot.
I still
need
think,
a setup.
So, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
I still think that the comedy aspect of this movie came from them not being able to get a handle on the special effects. That's the vibe I got from it. Like, I want this to look gory and awesome, but instead somebody got hit in the head with something and their head just exploded, or they got shot in the stomach with a shotgun, and very clearly we just have a hose pumping out some red fluid of some sort.
It may have been that, but it felt like a unique way of showing those kills.
Yeah, none of that really, it didn't, that's what didn't resonate with me. Like, it felt like it was, oh fuck, we are fucked. Let's just try and make it funny.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that the special effects added to the comedy because you had like clearly clear rubber heads exploding.
Yeah.
I say though, I thought of the Evil Dead movies. So I'm glad you brought up Bruce Campbell. I thought of the Evil Dead movies a lot while watching this. Evil Dead 1, which I actually like more than Evil Dead 2, and I think I'm the minority there.
You are.
Is a movie that was made for almost nothing and is insanely competent at walking that line between horror and black comedy, and the gore looks just incredible, and it's so inventive, with the POV force cam and everything. I can't believe that a movie that was made for like 1,000 times more money from a director who presumably has seen
I just
Evil
looked
Dead.
this up. $350,000 USD in 1981. So
that's a lot of money.
Adjusting for inflation, I mean, yes,
it's probably
still
about the
less
same budget.
than this movie.
Well, probably pretty close.
About the same, sure.
But that movie is so much more effective and so much more inventive.
They spent the money in better places.
Well, yeah, and the director was talented and had a vision. I don't think I've seen a couple of things by this guy, actually. He's done some shorts that I've seen that are just, I don't know, I don't want to shit talk him, but I just don't think he's thoughtful or capable enough of pulling off some of these high concept ideas, at least not in this case.
I didn't think he was trying to go for high concept idea.
But if you read the synopsis for this movie, it sounds high concept, right? I mean, it's a demon hopping
How do we
from body
describe
to
high
body.
concept?
The concept's good. I wish it were in a better movie.
Yeah, well, perhaps The Hidden. Maybe we should all watch that.
Yeah, maybe.
You guys, we've been basically giving our opinions more so than usual on this. Do we want to review it and maybe take a break and come back and talk about that fucked up ending?
Yeah. So there may be some surprises in the reviews.
There will be some surprises.
Patrick, you picked the movie. I think I know how you feel about it, but would you view it, cue it, or screw it?
View it with prejudice.
No.
Vehement view it.
No, it was super entertaining. I recognize there are a lot of flaws with it. Some have been sort of revealed to me, I guess, as we've been having this discussion. Some things I didn't even think about, and some were certainly apparent to me as I watched it. But I had so much fun with it. Fucking loved the ending. I can't wait to talk about the ending. Really enjoyed it. I mean, if you're interested in seeing a movie called Don't Kill It, starring Dolph Lundgren, you're going to get everything you wanted. At least I did. Gregory?
I'm also a view it.
What?
Yeah, no joke. As much shit as I'm talking, I am going to watch this movie again.
Holy shit.
I really, it's dumb, and it was put together incompetently, and it was obviously just like a victim of circumstance. But I'm going to watch it again because it's so stupid.
Steve's head just exploded as if he had been hit with an axe in Don't Kill It.
No, it was like a Scanners moment.
100% worth watching. Yeah, I
Would
don't
you
know
say
what else to say.
a million percent?
I don't know that I would quite go to 1,000,000%, but definitely 100% worth watching. You just have, you've heard what I've said about it, which has mostly been shit talk. If you can get past what I've mentioned, then you'll enjoy the movie. And I sat through the whole thing. I did not feel like at any point that I needed to stop and check my phone or do something else while the movie was playing.
Same.
And that should speak volumes, especially in this. I can do whatever I want, whenever I want, with my phone or my computer or anything else. I didn't want to. I watched the movie, and it was everything I expected, just not quite the delivery that I wanted it to be.
Wow, I was almost as shocked by that review as I was by the incredible twist ending of Don't Kill It.
They really, that ending.
Steve.
Don't view it.
Wait, is that one of the options?
I would say cue it. I think there are a couple. I'd say for the ending alone, which we'll get to, it's worth seeing that just purely out of context. It's fucking insane. But this movie it's a mess. Like if it had been even close to what I expected based on the concept, which was a low budget, incompetently made film, I would say view it, absolutely. It has a lot of potential, even as kind of a grindhouse movie, but it's a mess. It doesn't seem to know what it is. I really tuned out for a lot of it. And again, I just thought of better movies that were made cheaply that pulled this kind of thing off better. So cue it, I would say, scan through it. I can tell you specific scenes, timestamps where you should watch. Dolph is a delight to see on screen, even if he seems like legitimately probably drunk for most of this movie.
That is a great explanation for everything about him in
I
this
don't
movie.
like to go there. I just assume like he's an actor, he's making choices, but like I think he might have actually like intentionally gotten wasted when he made this movie.
He was like, I could be writing a paper on chemical engineering right now, and this is what I'm doing.
Oh, there was some chemical engineering going on, let me tell you.
He did utilize that a couple times in there.
Anyway,
His hair is fucking great. We haven't talked about his hair. His hair looks great.
My first note is just Dolph Lundgren's hair, is what I've done. I can show you.
Oh,
It's
my first
beautiful.
note was the boots in the bed.
I mean, he is...
Great cut, but also, I mean, just at his age, good hair.
To have that amount of hair.
Yeah.
I have, like, a quarter of that amount of hair, and I'm 29, and he's 60 years old, and he's fucking rocking the, like, alt-right look. It's great.
I mean, it's clearly not plugs, because, I mean, it is receding a bit. You know, it's not a perfect hairline. It's clearly
it's not
actually
perfect.
his hair, but it's good hair.
Depending on the scene, he looks either busted or fucking great. Like, there's a scene where he's lying in bed. It's like, have you guys seen Hot Shots Part 2?
Yes,
With Charlie Sheen.
of course.
You know the sex scene where the woman jumps off the balcony with her cowboy hat on and lands on his dick? Like, that scene in this movie is almost the same thing. And he looks great. Like, when he's lying on his back.
Lands
and
on
you
Dolph
can't-
Lundgren's...
No.
What are you guys talking
Charlie
about?
Sheen. It's Hot Shots Part 2. You need to go see it.
Great
if you
movie.
haven't.
Okay.
See.
And that and Robin Hood Men in Tights, where, I mean, that's like my high school years, so it's...
Oh, I jacked it to Hot Shots Part 2, like, multiple times.
I'm jacking
not
it
even
right
kidding
now to
you.
Hot Shots Part 2.
Wow. Wow, so that's a view it for Steve.
I just want to register the fact that I am not touching myself right now in any way. And
Neither am I.
25% of us are not touching ourselves right now. Just
No, but that scene, though...
Let the record show that Gregory is the only person touching himself right now.
Hey. Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Anyway, there's a scene in this movie that is almost exactly that, and Dolph looks beautiful lying on his back in this like low blue light. I'd say, if you're into old Swedish guys,
If you're into Swedish fish, he's a real Swedish fish.
But only if you're an old
is that like a
Swedish...
Georgia peach?
Yes.
All right, so I'm sorry.
All right, Chris, what do you think of the movie? We're done.
Chris has not yet weighed in on whether he's touching himself yet
He's
or not.
really been
hands
hands
are-
off this
When I think
episode.
about Dolph, I touch
My
myself.
hands are up. Jesus Christ. I don't even know how I can... You expect me to say something intelligent after listening to all that? Damn.
This episode has turned into pure id.
I give it a high cue it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It as a horror comedy, it almost works. I just don't think it has enough parts that are actually funny. I thought Dolph was pretty funny. I thought the scene where he was like getting dragged out of the police office was hilarious.
that was the perfect
when
moment.
they're itemizing his possessions and he's got all the weird demon hunter shit. That was hilarious.
It's very Austin Powers.
That's the kind of
Oh,
comedy.
it totally was, yeah.
That's the kind of comedy I like to see. But it's just pure. It's an entertainment movie. Do you need to see it? No, but you'll probably. And if you want to see a movie called "Don't Kill It," starring Dolph Lundgren, yeah, this is the movie you want to see.
Patrick
Thank
is
you.
nodding in approval.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it really is a movie. I think it really lives up to its title, and it doesn't do justice to the great concept they accidentally came up with, but. Yeah. So cue it. So I guess we'll go down to the spoiler room. The spoiler room.
It's still hot down there. I haven't been
Greg,
able to fix the AC. I'm so
got
sorry.
to fix the AC.
I've been working on it, but there's so much fire and hot water down there that it really offsets how cold it's supposed to be.
I mean, you're here this week. Can you just sit out the actual discussion and go work on the AC while we talk about the spoilers?
I should, but I was invited for a reason, and the discussion was the reason. Chris didn't say, "Hey, come fix the spoiler room." He said, "Hey, why don't you come talk about Don't Kill It with us?"
That's on me.
You know,
I don't
I mean,
think our listeners
you
want to hear
say- you
tools banging
say
around
all
the background,
that,
though.
but I feel like that's just because you're still touching yourself to Hot Shots Part 2.
Man, that
and you
movie
can't
That was
fix the
me.
AC at the
That
same
was
time.
not
No,
Greg.
I am. You were.
No, Greg said he was
He still
actively
is.
touching
Yeah.
himself.
Oh, God, yeah, he is.
All right, we're going to sort this out on our break. Go watch Don't Kill It, or don't. We're going to take a quick break, then we're going to go down to the spoiler room and spoil everything, tell you how it ends. Does it get killed? Does someone kill it? You'll find out after the break. See you soon.
But in the meantime, don't kill it.
Don't kill it.
Don't kill it.
Don't kill it.
You got to know the rules.
Welcome back. We're down here in the spoiler room, ready to spoil it. We're going to spoil Don't Kill It. It's awfully hot down here.
Weltering.
It's so hot. I don't, whose
it's
fault
pretty
is this?
bad. It's like-
This is somebody's fault.
Gregory could fix it, but I don't want to hear tools banging around the background. I think that might be kind of distracting.
It would actually just sound like dwarves ironsmithing.
It's like
Blacksmithing.
There's so many
85,000 degrees in here.
boilers and spoilers down here.
If you've read The Shining, you'll know that you'll be able to conjure the image of the basement of The Shining. Have anybody read the book?
Yeah, but I don't remember shit about it.
The basement, it just sounds like a fucking nightmare, and it has this furnace that is just like roaring, and like so
Like
much
Home
of the
Alone.
book is spent with it's kind of spooky. Or like imagine like the furnace in that book reminded me of the air conditioner in Brave Little Toaster. Like it has a life of its own, and like this like menacing face almost like on the grill. And that's kind of what it's like down here right now.
I'm not afraid anymore. So what happens in Don't Kill It? People keep killing it. It keeps body hopping.
People keep killing it. I mean, they keep trying to get into a situation where they can kill it the same way Dolph's dad did way back in the day, by somebody taking poison and then killing it, but shit just keeps going sideways.
The most problematic iteration of that is when the little girl gets contaminated by the demon, and she's in the basement, and the dad comes home, and Dolph is like, take my word for it, she's in terrible pain, she's irredeemable, she's down in the basement, now you have to drink poison and go down and kill her. And the dad does it, which I guess he's not lying, because you can't save him.
No.
Yeah, there's nothing you could do to make this
So-
end well.
I guess that I didn't
And then
realize
the
that at
dad
the time.
takes the poison, and then the fucking FBI shows up and fucks everything
Those
up.
sons of
The
bitches.
dad just dies. The girl fucks up a bunch of people,
Yeah,
and then the spirit moves on to somebody else.
Because the FBI, like cavalry, gets called in by our hero FBI agent who should know better.
What's her
Evil
damn
Lynn.
name? Have we even...
Evelyn.
Evelyn. Yeah. We haven't
Evil
really
Lynn.
talked about any of the characters in this movie.
Meanwhile, there's a subplot where I guess Evil Lynn is a descendant of an angel
Yes.
or something.
What?
She has some. Yeah,
I
she,
was so checked out at this point.
Yeah, because she survived her unfortunate like near drowning in the pool, and Dolph.
That's
speaking of-
early. That's like
It's pretty
35
early
minutes into the movie.
But Dolph, they're in a hotel room, and she's like, "I'm changing. Don't look at me." So because he knows what consent is, he.
I was
looks,
going to say, that's
yeah.
one of the main like consent violations
Yeah,
on Dolph's part in this movie.
He faces a mirror, and he's watching her undress through the mirror, and notices that she has these like scars on her back, like where you might expect to see angel wings. Kind of reminded me of Lucifer for a minute, my favorite show, because there's a beautiful.
Wait, I thought your favorite show was 911 on Fox.
Yeah, it is.
I thought it was X-Files.
I thought it was
If,
Cops.
if you don't watch 911 on Fox, unsubscribe from our podcast.
Don't do that. We need every single one of you.
Anyway, yeah, so she has like angel blood in her lineage, and so that means that if she were to kill it, the demon would certainly be tapped into the celestial energy network and be able to open the gates of hell and wreak havoc on the earth. So don't kill it, but it's especially important that FBI agent don't kill it.
Because the demon keeps like really trying to get her to kill it.
Right.
Like the demon will be on top of her and like grab her gun and hold it to his head and like grin really creepily, like, please kill
And
me.
because
so
the
that I can
demon's
take
white,
over
she
you.
still won't do it.
So God damn it,
Oh,
Chris.
wow.
So outside of the
Speechless.
police violence
Wow.
against black people commentary that Chris was making, that was one of the things that I wanted to bring up, was just how, like, that's the one thing that was really, really consistent in this movie, was how good he was, that the different actors that had to play the possessed person, how good they were at portraying that particular, I don't want to say emotion, but that particular moment.
Yeah,
where,
that character is consistent.
Yeah,
through
really
various
consistent
actors.
across every actor.
It's like the Bob Dylan movie.
Sure, yeah. I've never seen it, but yeah.
I'm not there. Check it out. Todd Haynes, great film.
Yeah,
but like everybody had the mannerisms were all on point. Just the look that they were giving her, all were pretty much across the board felt good or similar. And I liked the different I say different interpretations, but the different actors' interpretation of that same character all worked well.
How does it compare to Have you seen Hereditary?
No.
Okay. We were going to talk about that on cast at some point. Maybe this isn't the time, but
Probably
I see some similarities here, and that's definitely
a newer movie, right?
Very new. That's a body hopping movie as well, where like there's a lot of baggage that comes with who has the thing in them. No spoilers. I don't feel like this movie did that very well.
It was just that moment. Everything else, it didn't matter.
Oh, okay.
It was just throwaway. But it's just that, like, that the different actors that were trying to get her to kill it all felt eerily similar.
I thought it did very well in terms of that presence being consistent throughout each person hopped through. But more importantly, we're trying to get to the fucking ending and the spoilers. So finally, we get out in the woods. Dolph has taken it upon himself to make poison, take poison, and then shoot it. More shit goes down. The preacher who's been causing trouble all fucking movie shows up. It is hopping from person to person. And Evelyn is, if I'm remembering correctly, it is threatening Dolph, right?
Yeah, doesn't Dolph drink the poison, though?
No.
He must not.
He does not drink the poison. But I would also like to say, what was his plan after drinking the poison?
To do the same thing his dad did.
But he was dead. He didn't give any explanation on what she should be doing with this demon.
Yeah.
There's just going to be a little fuzzball floating around that's just going to possess somebody again in a few minutes.
Oh, yeah, I guess
you kind of forgot that.
Yeah,
Kind of
but
important detail.
I didn't even think about that until just now. So it was the world was screwed if he had died.
Well,
so
the priest shows
anyways,
up. Dolph is in distress.
Right.
The priest goes after the FBI agent after killing some redneck dude. So he's got the thing in him. And then it really goes off the rails, and I am completely on board for everything that happens from there on out. That's the movie I wish the rest of this movie had been.
Because the priest is threatening Dolph as it, right? It is inside the priest. He's threatening Dolph, and evil Lynn is like got her gun trained on the priest, and Dolph says, of course, don't kill it.
Yes, and finally the titular line. And
because it's going to go into her. She's an angel, and the demon can't go into her.
Oh, it's great, because like in that moment, you get this kind of, it almost looks like there had to be special effects involved. It looked like a double split diopter shot, where like all three characters are in focus in like separate ways, but the background is out of focus, and you've got Dolph up against the tree, the priest coming toward him, and the FBI agent behind them. It's all slow motion, and it's the perfect preamble to everything just going to hell.
Yeah, because then she does shoot the priest, and
in
you're
the
like,
head.
in the head, and you're like, holy shit, what the fuck's gonna happen? It clearly takes her over. Her eyes turn dark. She rises up into the sky.
Like Galadriel, just going crazy in that scene, Fellowship of the
Sky
Ring.
turns fucking purple. It's like, oh shit. And I thought it was going to be one of those like, yeah, we're fucking edgy. We ended it with the fucking demon taking over the angel's body.
But oh no.
No.
No, I knew it.
They show her pull the pin.
They show her pull the pin on that
They
grenade.
do, but I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Okay,
I didn't either. I watched this scene
rewatched
twice,
it.
and I still didn't notice it.
They definitely
it's all
they,
there.
it was,
They telegraph it.
Because
I thought it was obvious.
In the melee with the priest and everybody, some redneck has like a vest full of
foreshadowed.
grenades.
It's foreshadowed.
So
Like,
she ends up with the vest of grenades, and then she pulls a pin on one of them, and then gets taken
pulls
over.
a pin as she fires the gun. The grenade is in her gun hand, and so all of a sudden you see the demon all of a sudden go like just
What's in my hand?
face like melts and just looks at the pin in the hand, and then all of a sudden just explodes. Dolph picks up the fuzzy little golden flashing thing of light that is now the demon and puts it in a flask, and that's actually there's a great coda.
It's fucking crazy. So suddenly he's on a boat. And what is that flag on the boat? Is that the Italian flag?
I thought it was Mexico.
I don't know what flag that is.
I guess I don't know. I thought it was the Mexican flag.
There's a crest on it. I think the Mexican flag is just green, white, and red.
It does have a
stripes.
crest, and who knows what
The
the
Mexican
fuck it is.
flag has an eagle in the middle of it.
Also, he
it is Mexico then.
Yeah.
I love that he like drinks out of the flask before he puts the thing in it too, and he's like,
he starts dumping it to make room, and then takes a drink, and then scoops it in there with his little
So
knife.
he's on a boat. He drops the flask into the ocean, which I don't feel like is. I know you've got to get rid of it, but I feel like put it in a safe so you know you can keep it safe. He drops into the ocean. We get this terrible CGI flask floating down the screen, and then a fucking shark, like the Meg, comes out and eats the flask, and that's the end of the movie. So one can only presume that there's an intended sequel in which the shark is possessed by the demon.
Please, Jesus.
God,
Please, God.
But I don't want them to ever kill the shark. I just want that shark
That's
to
why
be
the sequel is going to be
villain
called
the
Don't
whole
Kill
time.
the Shark.
We can't kill the shark is what I want it to be called.
Yeah.
We tried and
The
can't.
shark doesn't die.
The shark
that's
doesn't die.
That's the title of the
God,
sequel.
it would be
The
beautiful.
shark is killed by plastic in the ocean, so it's the collective fault and all
of humanity
humanity.
becomes possessed by the demon.
It's like avalanche sharks.
They really
Yeah.
beat you over the
I
head
thought
with a
a three-headed
message.
shark.
Three-headed
Three-headed
shark
shark
attack,
attack
that's
when
the
I
one.
saw that.
That's the one. I
Shark.
get them confused.
Yeah.
But yeah, for a guy that's allegedly so well planned on this sort of thing, you'd think you would have put it in a safe, filled the safe with concrete, then dumped it out of a boat in the middle of the ocean. Now he's just like, throw it in the ocean. We're good.
He lives for danger. This is job security for him.
He uses the same strategy that he used the first time when it came back.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just going to dump it in the bayou and call it good. I'm just going to dump it in the ocean and call it good.
It's a bigger body of water. Less of a chance that it's going to get,
It's all just a body of water.
All just a body
He
of
did
water.
have to open that flask again, though, to fill it up. Otherwise, the thing would have just floated.
But it's kind of sad that the FBI agent died. I would like to see a little scene where, the
Now,
town
did she
is
die,
ringing
or
a bell
did
for
Heroic
her.
sacrifice.
Her body have an incredibly poorly done special effect where all her limbs spread around randomly after the grenade blew up. Because I don't know if she's dead, because that was terrible.
Well, she's dead.
The explosion
And it's a
was
closed casket.
magnificent.
It was so
It was.
The way
bad.
her body, I mean, it just makes zero sense. If you I don't know anything about physics, but just the way her body parts blast in different directions.
It was a
just seem to
fatality
fall at
from
different
Mortal
rates.
Kombat.
Yes.
Is what it was.
Ridiculous.
It was horrible.
There were better kills in Spawn, easily.
Yeah, for
Is
sure.
Spawn still on Netflix?
No.
Oh, God. What a
Should we do
shame.
another In Memoriam?
No, not now.
Okay.
Soon.
All right, so what are you guys watching next week?
I'm so excited for next week, Greg. We are watching Bahuneth. I don't even know how it's pronounced, but we're going back to Bollywood. Last time we went to Bollywood, you all know what happened.
We met our
you had a
hero,
blast.
Jay.
We met Jay. So hopefully we get something just as good next time.
I want there to be a swarthy, swashbuckling hero like Jay in this
I mean,
movie.
because all Bollywood movies are exactly like 1920 London Fear Strikes Again.
I don't know. That's what we're going to find out.
Yeah, I mean,
It's,
have you seen Monsoon Wedding? It's basically the same movie.
It's a family film, it looks like. It's long. It's like 2 hours and some change. I can't wait. I'm ready to go back to India, everybody. And I hope the rest of you will join us. Until then, you can join us online. Facebook, Twitter. Email us.
Stitcher.
Sure.
We're on Stitcher. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
until
we're on
recently.
Stitcher. We're on most major podcasts. We are a legitimate podcast.
Do you guys have
It's
Instagram,
kind
though?
of amazing.
No, we don't have Instagram.
Yeah, well, I tagged you guys today.
Oh. Well,
right.
maybe we'll bring back the Instagram.
We
I'll
have
take care of it.
Instagram, just we don't manage it. There's nothing on the Instagram.
There's nothing
We're
on
at
there.
we're at EHMON, but I don't think there's anything out there.
John Leguizamo's still just wondering why we don't respond to him on Instagram.
He's tweeted it, or he's Instagrammed at you guys so many times.
Well, guys, remember, don't kill it, and don't not join us next time when we watch Bahuneth, or whatever it is. It's BHOO something something. Look it up. You'll find it. Until then, for every horror movie on Netflix, I'm Chris.
I'm Patrick.
I'm Steven.
And I'm the extra specialist guest, Gregory.
Specialist.
See you next time.